Hey everyone, it's Tom Lamog, Guitars for Vets. I am an instructor with the Cyber Chapter. We'd like to welcome you to today's Intro to Acoustic Guitar Modules 1 through 5 review. Today we're going to go through the highlights of the material found in modules 1 through 5. So there's a lot of material to cover. I've brought some of my colleague instructors with us to join the conversation. We're going to touch on so many different things, so we may be moving very quickly. You can always refer back to the modules. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the chat feature. And we're going to do, hopefully, some play along. So grab that guitar and make sure that you tune up. So for my instructors right now, I'd like to ask you to go ahead and unmute. And let's go ahead and get right into it. First thing that comes to mind to me is, all right, I'm interested in play, but doesn't that take time? I mean, am I not going to have to set aside some time to practice? I mean, these are things. And I'm going to go ahead and ask. First of all, Baldemar and Joel. They are our most recent instructors, but they're also recent graduates. So I would like to ask the question to our newer instructors. What was the fear about practice? We all have day jobs, or maybe we have a life during the daytime, and finding that time to practice. What were the challenges for you, Baldemar, for practicing?
Okay, so like Tom said, my name is Baldemar Zacarias, and I do have a full-time job. I work from 6 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, and when I get home, I get tired. I just want to sit around and do nothing, and so I figured that I needed another challenge that I would like to pursue. So guitar playing came to my mind because I had an old guitar sitting in the closet, and the most overarching challenge would definitely be getting motivated to practice. Because if you don't practice, well, you don't go any further into your path. So practicing makes you a better guitarist. So I started practicing first the D chord. I thought that was easy, so I caught on to that one quick. Then I had trouble with the C chord, so that was gonna be an obstacle. So just continuing staying with it, staying motivated. Looking forward to beating that challenge. Getting through the next chord up, and then having to go transitioning between one chord and the next, that was difficult. And then having to strum and then switch between chords, you're doing two different things at the same time. So as long as you stay with it and you practice and practice and practice, you'll see the results. And again, they do come about. The results are gonna be there. It happened to me, so, and I'm sure it'll happen to most everybody out there.
It sounds like there's a practice routine that you had in mind. Is that true?
Yes. So after getting from home from work, being tired, I said to myself, you know what? Well, I can just sit around. I motivated myself to sit in front of the computer and start playing. Always something new. And of course, you practice with eventually Bruce is gonna show us. Practice the chromatic scale. That'll make you a little bit faster. But practicing and establishing a set hour within your day to dedicate to the guitar playing has always helped.
And Joel, when you and I were doing lessons together, you had shared with me that there were some things about your ability to play that kind of some of the things that you had to work through, that
Mhm.
you had to kind of modify your practice plan as well too. And of course, how can I forget, you're a left-handed guitar player.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about practice with those things in mind? How did you
Uh,
set
my,
that up?
I also have a demand job. I get up like at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm pretty busy. So my biggest challenges with the guitar is I'm a disabled veteran, and I have tremors in my strumming hand. So my big thing is not letting my disability get in the way of learning guitar. So I use different techniques, and Right now, I use a pick that's got a grip on it, and I kind of I hold my palm. I use that to study it, and then I do my strumming. But and plus, playing music, it helps rewire your mind to overcome these difficulties and all that. Music is a good therapy. So I always found like 15 to 20 minutes before I went to bed to practice my chord changes.
Real good. So I guess the message here is, if you put your mind to it, if you really dedicate yourself to setting up some time to practice, you could do it. I mean, these gentlemen have talked about, some of the challenges that they faced. Anyone can do it. It's really up to you, though, to set aside that time, create that plan, dedicate yourself to doing that practice routine and keeping true to it, and you'll start to show the improvements. I mean, these gentlemen are now instructors with us. So,
Mhm.
so anyways, Bruce, anything to add to that? Any comments?
No, I think that those two comments were good. I stress that my students just practice only a half an hour a day. If you practice more than a half an hour a day, you're gonna be making mistakes, and you don't want to practice your mistakes. So limit yourself to half an hour session. I mean, if you have the time, do a half an hour in the morning, a half an hour, in the afternoon. The other thing is, I have a pretty structured lesson plan, and I walk through it with my students, and I ask them to, that when they sit down to practice, cut it down into pieces. Spend 5 minutes playing chords, spend 10 minutes playing scales. It really should be a kind of an organized thing, as opposed to just sitting down and noodling.
Yeah, and Kellye, I know you've got some thoughts as well too, because I know you're going to be talking about the importance of posture, and how does that integrate into a practice plan? I mean, being mindful of certain things, and we'll go into that a little bit deeper. What are your thoughts?
Yes. Regarding practice, I've just been released by the VA physical therapy department, suffering 3 months of over stress injuries from playing all my instruments too much. So I really can talk about this.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they've told me now, and of course I'm recovering from injury, is to play 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Play 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Because anything that you do is, repetitively can cause repetitive stress injury. And of course, the older we get, the more that is true and can happen. So I'm over 65, so it's like, anyway. But yeah, and I've noticed she released me to go ahead and start playing again. And I play other instruments too. And so that's what I do. I play, and then if I even start to feel anything, I stop. And I think that's the key, is not to push through pain. In the military, you're taught to be really tough, and you push through the pain, and it's you go for it. Your body won't forgive you, though. See. So.
All right, real good. I think the one thing to close this topic out, the practice routine itself was something that we presented Charlie Sabatino, who is an accomplished stand-up bass player, among other things. He did a live event for us not too long ago, and I would like to recommend that everyone take a look at that video. You'll go back to the Learning Center and then go under modules and more. You're going to find Charlie Sabatino and the importance of creating a practice strategy. So you'll find that there. All right, so let's now move on to the next topic. And the next topic is about the guitar itself. Joel, let's have a conversation about this.
Okay.
First of all, you're a left-handed guitar player. Now, you made that clear to me that, all right, so Tom, when you teach me, just keep in mind that I'm a left-handed player. So can we talk a little bit about that first? So maybe we do have left-handed players here and, have right-handed.
So for me, left hand, I got to think of everything in reverse. So my strumming hand is my left hand, and the neck of my guitar is pointed towards my right side. So my fretting hand is my right hand. So
Yeah.
99.9% of the material out there is geared for a right-handed guitar player. So I just think of we're a mirror image to each other when Tom and I was learning with each other.
So there you go. So now, if you're playing with someone who's a right-handed player, maybe you're jamming with someone who's a right player. Does that really matter? Does it matter?
No, my little brothers really accomplished heavy metal guitar, so we would face each other. It's like we're looking in the mirror. I could actually see what his hands are doing and compare them to mine.
And you can actually set up your camera if you can figure that out for a mirror image to make it look like, okay, you're both playing, left-handed or right-handed. Okay, so, we're on page 2, the steel string acoustic guitar. So we're going to go through that. So Joel, go ahead and talk through what we need to know about the parts of the guitar.
Okay, so if you're looking at your neck, right at the top, you got the headstock, you got the tuning machine. So if I flip mine around, my tuning machines, you can see the open gears, but a lot of guitars have it closed, so you can't really see the gears. I always think it's cool to see the gearing on the tuning mechanisms. So what we got here next, we got the nut. That's this white piece here. That could either be made of bone or plastic, depending on the guitar. And the next part, these little wire pieces are called the frets. The piece on top here where you see the dots, that's the fingerboard. The fingerboard depends on the type of guitar. This is an ebony fingerboard, so it's glued right on the neck itself. Here we have the body of the guitar. This is a spruce top and a mahogany body. Right here we got the sound hole. You got the pick guard. For me, I really need a guitar with a pick guard, or else I'll just dig through the top wood there. This part right here, the bridge, the white piece is the saddle. And of course, we got the strings, and the strings are being held in place by these pegs right here.
Are there extra pieces? I know that's an acoustic, but they have an acoustic electric guitar too, don't they?
Yeah, they got acoustic electric. This is a straight acoustic, and on the acoustic electric, you would have a lot of times. For me, I've seen the ones for lefties. It would be right about in this area here, and then I have a student now that has actually a tuner on his guitar, so he can actually look at the tuner while he's strumming the strings.
And the pegs, or not the pegs, they are the strap pins. Because funny, here's what's interesting to me is in some of the individuals who have gone through training with me, they get their guitar, and then they get the strap, and it's like, well, what do I do with this? And they from it, it's kind of like, you didn't tell me about strap pins. Yeah. And what you'll do is typically you'll find the strap pins, at up here towards the middle of the guitar base as well. So those are things that.
On mine, I only got the pin at the base, and I would have to tie the strap up around the headstock, like the old cowboy style. So
Baldemar, why is it important to tune up before we get get started with this?
Okay, so to me, like Bruce said, it's important that when you practice as accurately as possible. That way you can get the full effect of the music, and so it's important to tune so that what you're hearing is close to the original recording, and then the strings last a little bit longer. So because if you have them all too loose, that's not gonna give you the full effect of the sound, and if they're too tight, you're gonna be potentially hurting your fingers. So as far as tuning, there's a few web pages on the internet that you can go to, and they'll allow you to tune, like Fender and Musician, I think is another one, and there's a few. And also there's little handheld tuners or little tuners that go on your guitar that you can use for tuning, and also internet applications. I like the application because you can carry it with you everywhere, and it's on your phone. So to tune, You just want to do gradual movements on your tuning pegs here. You don't want to do too drastic because you may end up breaking your strings. And what you want to do is, just pluck your strings lightly, slightly, and then the application will tell you whether if you're in tune or not. That's the E chord. That's the high, the top string up here, that the E. And then the applications and your tuner will tell you what strings, the order of the strings it'll be on: E, A, D, G, B, and E again. So and the reason you don't want to over tighten is for the potential of breaking a string. And I mean, you can probably get single strings, but sometimes it's hard. They'll sell them in packs of 6 most of the time. So just be careful. And so, like I said, once again, it's just one, slightly plucking it and looking at the little bubble. It'll tell you how close you are to tuning, and if it stays within the range, you're in tune. Yeah, because you're gonna have a hard time because of envy noises that are gonna keep this tuner from being exactly right.
And they have a number of different tuners. And for those of you who may play an acoustic electric guitar, where you can actually plug in or take a cable, plug it in. You can actually plug it into pedals, and pedals also have that ability as well too. Now, when it comes to tuning itself, Baldemar, do you have a method? I mean, do you come in from underneath and then try to hit the pitch then? Is that how it works?
The way I tune my guitar is I start from the top string up here, the 6th string, and then I go to the bottom. Those are 2 E strings. So top, bottom, and then again to the 5th string, and then the 2nd string. That's the way I do it because I got used to it. And I think I think it doesn't stress the neck as much because you're working from both sides, from both ends of the guitar.
Real good. Now, if you
The guitar also has a little tuner here, so
yeah, there you go. There are some guitars with built-in tuners, which is really convenient for sure. So one tip that I want to share with everyone is that when you do tune, and I think everyone, if you haven't done this now, now's a good time to do this, is, take a look at your tuner. And if you happen to, you start from underneath the tone itself, the note itself, and then you tune up into the tone itself. If you go over that tone, it's important that you back down, go underneath again, and try it again. That's really the rule of thumb for that. What happens is that, if you actually tune down, go flatter into the pitch itself, the string tends to still not settle, go a little tighter as you play. So that's what I have been taught, to come in underneath the pitch and then try to meet the pitch rather than overshoot it. And if that happens, go under again, do it. So can we talk about the string names themselves and how ways to memorize them? Because I mean, it would be great to go ahead and refer to your iPhone, or just bring out your notes and say, okay, well, this is this and this is that. But is there a way that you've managed to memorize, or have you memorized, or have you do you refer to like another a resource to remind you what these string names are?
Well, Tom, by just looking at the application right there, they're all there.
They're all there.
E, B, E. And also, I remember that my instructor, when I went through the course, he told me about Eddie 8 Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie. So I remember that one because he taught me that. And then you've mentioned here not too far ago that elephants and donkeys grow big ears. So I remember that one too. So that's a good method to use to remember the string names.
Not everyone has a phone, or an app that they can refer to. And, the elephants and donkeys grow big ears. That's the one that I remember as well too. So Okay, well, listen. Thank you for the walkthrough on this, Baldemar. I appreciate that. The next person I'm going to bring up is Bruce. Hey, Bruce, I'm gonna go ahead and pick your brain. Now, Bruce is one of our tenured instructors with Guitars for Vets. I mean, we've talked a little bit the strings and the string names, but I think what's also important to know are the note names, right? I mean, there's a structure to this because musicians will obviously come into having to learn the notes within the scale. Can you talk about that and the importance?
Um, yeah, I think as you progress, eventually you're going to get involved with a little bit of music theory. It's helpful to know how these notes relate to each other. I mean, I think of them as with the note name. I also think of them as numbers, one, two. And the thing that's amazing to me, and I've been playing music, my God, since the early '60s. There's only 12 notes. There are only 12 notes in modern music. The first note and the 12th note are the same. They're an octave apart. And when you think about how much music there is, there's only 12 notes. I It took me a while to actually memorize the notes. I mean, I have them now. I get confused because I play pedal steel guitar and I play a couple different kinds of banjo, so it gets a little confusing at times. But I mean, I can walk through the alphabet very quickly, and there's two ways to do this. You can just walk up the neck. So I'm going to start on string number 5, which is an A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Got it. Okay. There's another way of doing that too. I mean, I just walked up the neck. Another way to do it is you want to play that alphabet in what I call the open position. So it would be A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A.
All right. Well, thank you for the walkthrough on that. So, the next person I'm going to bring up is Kellye because, we're talking about the guitar and talk just a little bit about the importance of posture because, hey, we're sitting here for the next, we've been sitting here for the last 30, 45 minutes and we still have another 45 minutes to go. We're all sitting holding our guitars and certainly there may be some strain or stress on different parts of your body.
So yes, posture obviously is everything, no matter what you're doing. But particularly with playing the guitar, what I see a lot and what I myself have been guilty of, particularly as a female who's got a shorter body, is people playing guitars that are too big for them. And you'll see people all the time reaching around like this, and the next thing you know, they got the biggest crick in the neck and the back and everything's tight, So number one is shoulders level, like in the slide, sitting straight across. You want, shoulders over hips and hips over feet, Now, I don't have a problem playing with my legs crossed. That's okay. But what you don't want to do is sit with your legs crossed at an angle. So like if your knees are pointing in this direction, let me see if I can get a better angle there. So if my legs are pointing that way, and then I'm sitting and I'm turning my body this way, and I'm playing, I'm in a twisted position. And I see people perform like that a lot. But if you sit like this for very long, you're going to end up with back issues again. So the rule of thumb really is to try to keep all of your body parts in as neutral of a position as you can. And with standing, you'd want to have your chest uplifted more. When you're a beginner and you're learning, you do this and you go like this to look down because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where to finger your frets and you're really slouched over and it's hard. And it takes time to be able to not look at your hands and play, but yeah, I switch legs if they get tired. That's good. Yeah, switch legs, just don't have them angled the wrong way. But anyway, that's pretty much it for like sitting and standing. Make sure if you're not standing with a sway back or hunched over, you know, ears should be level with shoulders, shoulders level with hips, and hips over feet. It's best when you're standing to play to have one foot slightly in front of the other. And you always want to play with your knees soft, not stiff. That'll tend to put a lot of hurting on your lower back. Another thing to talk about when you're sitting, I have one of these. You see? All right, so this is a wedge cushion. It's about 3 inches in the back and about an inch in the front, maybe half an inch in the front. And it's good for chairs. If you have a chair at home and your hips are lower than your knees, then that can cause a lot of lower back problems. So you want to have when you're seated, to have your hips higher than your knees. And so a wedge cushion is very helpful for musicians for that. I have a classical guitar, and I've played that way for a little bit. Basically, with the difference, like we play the normal acoustic way. The guitar is more on the hip, on the side. Now this is a little 3/4 travel size guitar, and I don't have to hunch my shoulder up and reach around it. It just snuggles down here, and I can play it so easily. I love it. But to do the class, if I wanted to play this in a classical style, I would probably either get you could buy a support that'll attach to the instrument here. I have one in the back room, but it would hold it this way, more on your left leg, so that you're playing with the guitar neck at about a 45-degree angle, or it's actually in the angle coming out your shoulder. And so you're playing more seated up like this. You see how I am reaching around, but again, this guitar is not too thick for me. I don't have to reach around like this. So you always want to watch that, but you're seated more, let's see, this way. So the guitar body is really between my legs, and you would normally have a support here, or you could have your left foot up on a stool to support this part of the body of the guitar. So there's 2 ways of doing that. And some people will just get a big old towel and roll it up, and you can play it this way. You know, it's just a different style of playing. But again, no matter if you play it this way or down on your leg like this, you know, I like to play with a strap. It just, when I'm seated like this, it just is comfortable to me to play this way. It doesn't matter which style you play. The key is always having your shoulders over your hips and trying to have your body as neutral as possible. And the same thing with your hands and your wrists. You know, obviously there's certain chords that we have to reach way around and make these really ungodly contortions to get. But in general, you want to try to have a straight wrist. So like, this is a G chord. I'm not going way like this. Now you can reach around when you need to more, but as much as possible, try to maintain a straighter wrist. Anything that you do with a body part that you're too far over the natural line of, what do they call that? Can't think of the proper word. You know what I mean? You know, much farther than about 45-degree angle on either side. Any extreme angle for very long will cause you to have things like carpal tunnel buildup or tendonitis and other injuries like that. So,
you know, you put together this really wonderful, informative video on exercises.
Yeah.
Warm-up exercises. And I know it was posted on the Learning Center. And if you guys, if you're interested in finding more about those exercises, which hopefully Kellye can show just a couple of different ones that are really helpful, make sure to check that out on the Learning Center. Just go back through the threads and look for those warm-up exercises for guitar. But can you tell us a few that people should be able to do?
I can tell you some new ones that aren't on that video that I got from the physical therapist.
Do tell.
And particularly, so the problem with any kind of instrument, like whether you're playing violin or guitar, or piano, everything's out in front of you. So your muscles are very trained to be very strong going this way, but they're not strong going this way. And so you have muscle imbalances, which causes neck and back problems. I had what they called cervicalgia. So my whole trapezius muscle was just full of knots because I wasn't taking care of myself. So one of the best ones is one of those bungee cords, or TheraBand. That's the word I'm looking for, TheraBand. And they have a loop, and you put it in the crack of the door and close the door on it. And then you can pull it out this way. So you're going to hold the TheraBand ends with the loop holding it in the door like this, and you're going to back up and pull this way. And so what you're doing then is activating all the muscles on the back. And that is hard to do. When she first gave that to me to do, it was so painful I couldn't even do it. So we waited 2 weeks, and then I tried it again, and now I'm stellar. I could do 2 sets of 10, man. But that was a really, really good exercises. And there's several more. What I might want to do is put a few together, write them down and send them. And if we want to add them to something, we could always do that. But they were like, for instance, one of them was to hold your arm out this way and pull, not too hard, but to stretch the trapezius, and then put the arm behind the back this way. And this is where you sniff the armpit. This is a good one. So you're facing your armpit, and you're just literally going to come down this way. And so my physical therapist told me that no matter what instrument I play, I'm supposed to do these exercises afterwards, these stretches. It's to keep that neck thing from becoming a problem again. Yeah.
Kellye, thanks again. Thanks again for that little demonstration for us.
Okay.
And I know Bruce has his bungee cord in there that he was showing us that he wants to maybe talk about, but in terms of stretching, for a very long time, I was not a good student in terms of my application to learning the guitar. So like warming up, and I would pick up the guitar and I'd play, and I wouldn't really have a warm-up routine. Obviously, the older I get, the more I feel it is important that I'm doing some things that stretch and kind of move my fingers in a, not a really physical way until I'm able to get up to speed. So I've developed kind of a practice routine that is based on, I'm always looking for a shortcut, which isn't a good thing, but I've got a practice routine depending on what I'm working on that is like actual pieces of songs that I'm trying to learn. So when I'm trying to warm up, for example, the solo to Amy's Pure Prairie League is one of the things I will work on. And I'm not so worried about speed when I'm practicing it. It's more accuracy and technique. But I don't sit down. I'm not a scale guy. I should be. I'm not a mode guy. I should be. I like to take parts of songs I love, whether it's a riff or a rhythm. So my practice routine is like a 6-minute cut of different songs that I'm learning different parts of. And it's mixed with both like lead work and rhythm work and stuff like that. And I just like it. I look forward to practice because I feel like of course, I turn it up really loud, so I'm playing with it, but it's really still practicing. And I say I'm against scales. I shouldn't say it that way. So, for example, one of the pieces of that 6 minutes is a very small solo from an old Pennsylvania band called Artful Dodger. They were big in the early 70s. The lead singer had an awesome voice. And the solo to this song is, I believe it's an A major scale, almost do re mi-ish. The way the guitar player plays it. So I'm always looking for stuff like that I like, oh, that'd be good for my practice routine if I'm working on hybrid picking, or if I'm working on individual notes, or if I'm working on a lot of my strumming is Mick Jones, a foreigner. He's got some great rhythms. So I have a practice routine, a warm-up routine that I say, but it's playing the songs that I love.
I kind of am with you with the scales. It's not that I dislike them. It's just that there are so many other ways to approach playing rather than just sticking with scales. There's, string skipping and arpeggios, playing up the neck with different chord shapes and all that. So scales at the very beginning, Yeah, I understand. But once you get that down, once you've practiced enough, you can explore all over.
Yeah, so one of the songs we deconstructed was The Eagle's Already Gone, and that's in the key of G, and it's basically a G, the solo is a G pentatonic, lives within almost just two shapes. And so, there is a way to get your scale practice in there and have fun with it if you don't like to do scales.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring Joel Grant up because what we are going to do right now is talk a little bit about picks. You got the thick ones, you got the thin ones, you've got the wooden ones with a hole punch in it. At least I do. Found that one in Canada. But Joel, people are going to be inundated by picks when they go to the guitar shop or they're looking at it online.
I got a whole bowl full of picks here that I borrowed from people over the years, and I just collected them. So I'm not real. I didn't really learn the finger style. I always liked the flat picking. So this is the pick that I'm currently using. What you got to do is when you go to a guitar store, just ask to try different picks and see how they feel in your hands. This has a little grip on it so I can hold it. I got a really fat pick here. It depends on the style of music you want to play too. With these fatter ones, and with points on them, if you're a solo, you can really get like on my Telecaster, I can get a really punchy type of notes, single notes playing that way.
Now, when we talk about thickness of a pick, so you've got, some that feel really flimsy, right?
Yeah.
And I know I tend to use those that with a smaller number because each pick, they'll usually have like a number on it.
Yeah.
I'll play on my acoustic, but if I'm playing, my electric and I really want to get into soloing and really play these heavy leads, I'll go with a thicker pick. But can you talk about the pick thickness and all that stuff and what you prefer?
I really like so let me get the thinner pick. So when I'm playing, like some bluesy type stuff with the thinner one, I can feel that pick bend, and if I grab my thicker pick with a grip on it, I can kind of get more pronounced sound out that.
And that's with a thicker pick.
That's with the thicker pick, and I can do it on the electric guitar. I can get some harmonics too.
And so if you don't have if you're not plugged into an amp, say, for instance, and you can control volume, you can use a different pick. A lighter pick will typically be a softer sounding pick, softer volume.
I could do you see how loud that is with this thicker pick? And I'll do the same motion with the thinner pick, and you see how lighter that is? You got really hit it hard with a lighter pick, but
we were able to hear Joel demonstrate with that thicker pick. You could hear some of the volume come through, and when he picked with a lighter pick, you couldn't hear him. So it was obviously softer. All right, so listen, I'm going to bring the entire group back. Let's recap some of the things that we talked about because we may not be visiting this for a little while. Let's go back to posture. Kellye, we thank you for that. If there's one big tip that you want to leave, or maybe a couple, what are they?
Just like your mama told you when you were little, sit up straight. That's one tip right there. And don't play too long in one position.
Okay.
I stuck another one in there on you.
All right. Baldemar, in terms of tuning, what are the tips for tuning? What do you want to leave with them?
Just gradual knob turns. That way you don't break your strings. And tune up. I was going to mention that earlier, but I forgot. Yes, tune up.
What about memorizing? Do we want to memorize string names?
Yes, that helps a lot. Remember.
Remember. And if you can't, there's always the app. Go ahead and use the app if you got a phone. Joel, with regards to the different parts of the guitar itself.
my biggest thing about the parts of the guitar, don't let a disability stop you from learning how to play it, because you can hold a guitar on your lap if you can't hold it in position and play it that way too. So there's many ways to play a guitar to make your life enjoyable.
Oh, great. Okay. Inspiring, folks. Bruce, with regards to the scale itself and the importance, can you impress upon us why it's important to know the notes?
Because your ear will tell you if you're playing the wrong note. If you're playing a song and you hit the wrong note, your ear will tell you. I think the other thing too with scales is I always say, most people when they start playing, they only pick down. You really should go down, up, down. So what it does is by going down, up, it's putting your pick in position for the next string.
The wonderful journey we're on, isn't it? Learning to play guitar. Please thank Kellye, Baldemar, Joel, Bruce. We're going to go ahead and cut you loose. Bruce, I know we'll see you soon, but thank you to the panel here for spending a little bit of time with us. Let me go ahead and talk about the reading of the chord charts. Now, this is detailed in the materials, the module materials. But again, if you were to take a look at a chord chart, you're really looking at this. You're going to see the thick nut, and then you've got the frets and the strings. And then so if you're wondering, this is what a chord chart is going to look like. This is the E minor. You guys know this as string 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, frets 1, 2, and 3. And for an E minor, you've got your first finger on the 5th string of the 2nd fret, and then the second finger on the 4th string and the 2nd fret. So that's the E minor. And then the A sus2, that would be the first finger is on the 4th string and the 2nd fret, and the second finger is on the 3rd string and the 2nd fret. All right. Let me go ahead and take us through a downward strum with quarter notes. And what I'd like everyone to do is to also count those quarter notes. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to play just the E minor. Okay? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now let's move to the A sus2. All right, A sus2. Quarter notes, play it 4 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How'd everyone do? Quarter notes, pretty easy stuff, huh? Yeah, excellent, great. Okay, let's move on to the chord transitions. Now, this is page 10. What we're going to do, and this is one of the exercises in the module itself, what we're going to do is count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to use the E minor and the A sus2. So we're going to count 1, then strum E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Before I hit the next one, when I start one, the next measure, I'm going to get to that A sus2. All right, so I'm going to do something like this. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the thing is, I want to move my fingers from the E minor to the A sus2 before the next time 1 comes around. So the start of a new measure. So I'm going to play this now. I want you to play with me on this one. All right. So every 1, we're going to alternate between the E minor and the sus2, but make sure that these are clean chord changes as well. Let me give you the chords. E minor, then A sus2, then E minor, then A sus2. Go back and forth. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, A sus2. 1, 2, 3, 4, E minor. 2, 3, 4, A sus2. 1, 2, 3, E minor. 4, 1, 2, 3, A sus2. 1, 2, last time. 3, E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, A sus2. 2, 3, 4. All right. How'd everyone do on that exercise?
Hey, Tom,
Yeah.
while you strum 1, what we like to have them do is keep their strumming hand moving with the count, even though they might not be strumming. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. We want them to start using their body as a metronome. I often tell them to get their leg involved as well. And I noticed Baldemar was, doing that over the misses, which is what we want to see.
Let's do this. Why don't you go ahead and lead us on this one then?
So if we were just to do that same strum pattern, we call this hitting the 1. So we're going to hit a down strum on the E minor on the 1 count and be silent on 2, 3, and 4, so that we're in time to hit the A sus2 on the 1 count. So that'd be like this. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And we just want that hand to help keep time. Like you can almost hear a ticking metronome, but it's your arm keeping that time.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Let me take us to the next exercise then, and that would be, let's see, we are going to strum the E minor on counts 1 and 2. And then when we hit 1 again, it's the A sus2 for counts 1 and 2. So it's going to look like this. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so let's do this together. We're going to do 4 measures. And again, strumming on 1 and 2. Make sure you make that clean chord transition to the next chord before the start of the next measure. We're going to go 4 measures. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys get the idea. Now, if you go back to the module exercise itself, it's going to take you through 2 more of these exercises, and it'll help you make speedier transitions. Now, we won't go through this morning, this afternoon, because we're almost at the top of the hour, and I still want Bruce to go ahead and show us some things about the different strum patterns that you need to know about, the golden rule of strumming, and taking us through some of these different types of strum patterns. So anyway, Bruce, I think you're going to take us home, is what it looks like. We've got, if you're following along on the presentation itself, it's counting eighth notes. So what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and count eighth notes on page 13. We did the quarter notes, now let's do the eighth notes. So show us how counting eighth notes, how that works.
we're counting, quarter notes, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. When you want to double that up and do eighths, you go 1 and 2 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that and is basically doubling up each one of those notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I should do it slower. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. These strum patterns are really important. There are so many different strum patterns, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's a song, Horse with No Name, which is a really simple song with the left hand, but it's the right hand with the strumming pattern that makes it. So I've got a strum pattern going, but I'm also muting the strings. So there's just so many different kinds of strum patterns. I don't mean to confuse you.
Good. And the thing is there are so many strum patterns that exist. And if they all sounded the same, you'd probably hear them applied in, that's all you ever hear in songs, in popular music. I mean, it's not always down, up, down, up, down, up. There's syncopation that's involved with that. If you were to take a look at quarter notes with 8 notes, page 18, there's one that goes down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. I mean, that's mixing eighth notes and quarter notes. And again, there are so many variations that are out there. This one, here's another one. Let me see. And it makes it distinctive from other songs. Something like the different strumming pattern. And that's another one that we teach. And Paul just posted some references to the different strum patterns that exist. But even if you listen to popular music, Proud Mary, for that one comes to mind, Proud Mary, with a different syncopated strumming pattern. Tennessee Whiskey, it's got, like Chris Stapleton's got a different style of strumming pattern. Big Yellow Taxi, different type of strumming pattern. You probably know that this exists simply by the music that you listen to. But next time you take a listen to music, listen to how it's played in the different strum patterns and such. As we start to wind down this particular live session, the next invitation we'd like to present to you, if you'd like to play along, we've got the iJam play along Thursday, the 22nd, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. You can go back to the live event invitation over at the G4V Learning Center.
So for the iJam next week, do you have the set list out already?
It is. Actually, if you go to the live event invitation, you're going to see 7 songs in there. If you were a part of the iJam series originally, not too long ago, we went through Big Yellow Taxi, we did Tennessee Whiskey, we did Margaritaville, we did Knocking on Heaven's Door. If you're far enough along where you can play quarter notes, down strums, open chords, I bet you're going to have a good time joining us for that one. Check it out. Live event next week, Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And some of us instructors will be there. I know I'll be there.
I really appreciate you, Tom, for facilitating this and putting together those wonderful graphics and organizing this. Tom's really been helping us jumpstart the ITAG program, because that's really the start of it. I don't know if you know this, but on the Guitars for Vets website, any vet that's trying to enroll in the National Cyber Chapter and can't get in, and that's a lot of them, they're directed to join CavArts and start the ITAG program, because they don't need an instructor to do that. And so we're getting some good feedback on it, and it was really our first attempt to offer a virtual waiting room where they could learn about the guitar while they're waiting for an instructor. So I know a lot of you share the passion about this instrument, and it's just so cool to be part of a team that's helping vets discover this instrument. So thanks, I appreciate it. I'm just going to tease a few things coming up. I won't say a whole lot about them because some of them are in early stages of the baking stage, but I think we're going to have a theory class, a music theory class. I've talked to the author of this book, and I've got several of these to give out. So we might start a class on music theory. I think Tom's working on another Song True episode. I think Joel and Baldemar are cooking up something around a guitar shop idea. And we're gonna look at some new content probably in the fall about loosely called the Songwriter's Toolkit. It's going to be modules that support the idea of songwriting. So using your instrument as a tool for finding your voice and creating songs. So those are some of the things I just wanted to throw out there and tease. We're always looking for topical ideas. I saw that there was a poll in the community, so thanks, Tom, for doing that. But yep, thanks for what you guys are doing for us. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Paul. All right, everyone. Well, that's it. That brings us to the end of this ITAG review. Hope you got something out of it. Leave us a message that you liked it or what you'd like to see, all right? And we'll all see you next time. Take care.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
That was fun.
All right.